Can you believe it's that time of year again where we're going to talk about my favourite decks from 2025? What? Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome to my channel if you're new. Hi, I'm Mand, and today we are going to talk about some of my favourite tarot decks of the year, the decks that I really enjoyed working with and those that brought me joy, and I just had the best time. Basically, short and sweet and to the point. Isn't that kind of what we want? And again, this list could have been extremely long, so this is going to be part one, my favourite tarot decks, and then the next part will be my favourite oracle decks. I realised definitely this year has been very tarot, which is very unusual for me because I'm definitely an oracle girly, but this year has definitely been very much a love of tarot decks, which is very interesting, a very welcome change, because change is a good thing and there's nothing wrong with that. And so grab a snack, grab a drink. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. Love to have you part of the family. If you are new here, I cover all things tarot and oracle card deck related content, finding glimmers and magic in the mundane. So if that is your jam, hit the subscribe button. In no particular order whatsoever, we have Desert Illuminations Tarot. This was such a fun and quirky deck that I got this year. Oh my goodness, I had the best time working with this deck. It is so odd, it is so unusual. It follows very much Rider-Waite-Smith. Again, like I mentioned in a previous video, the desert isn't something I'd be very familiar with. Again, I live on an emerald island, right? It like rains majority of the time here. We've been very lucky. We've had quite the mild winter so far. That doesn't mean we won't be subjected to more rain, but this was such a fun, again, it's such a quirky deck, and I loved the aliens, and I love the way that people are depicted in it, the unusualness of it, something that's very different to my own country, right? So this wouldn't be very familiar to me. I adored it. I had the best time. I love pairing it. Like, these aliens are just absolutely comical. It wouldn't be something that I particularly myself am into. It wouldn't be something like this. Reminds me so much of The Sims 2, so it just gave me so much nostalgic feeling, if I'm being honest. There was just something that it really spoke to my teenage self, which was very unusual because I wasn't expecting that, and yet I thoroughly enjoyed it. I loved the depth and, again, just the quirkiness of it. So it does follow the Rider-Waite-Smith system. I feel like for probably beginners it'd be a great one if you want something a bit more bright and colourful. And again, like that, I had the best time working with this. Next on my list is the Mythologica Fennica Tarot. Oh my god, this is a Rockpool Publishing. I forgot to mention Desert Illuminations, the US games. I love this. I love this so darn much. Oh my gosh. I believe I got it early this year or like late last year, but I didn't start working with it till this year. I don't even know how to put into words in one way how much I enjoyed this deck. I love the artwork. I loved the mythology. The guidebook, which I'll show you in a minute, was absolutely amazing. This deck, for some reason or another, how do I even explain it, spoke to my subconscious. So while consciously I didn't really kind of grasp sometimes what the cards were saying, my subconscious mind knew. And it was the strangest, most profound experience, if I'm being honest. It was just so unusual. Like, I worked with this for quite some time. I found it difficult to actually have to put it away and work with another deck. I just wanted to dive into this, and so I'm hoping in 2026 that I'll be able to kind of do a bit more of a deep dive. I'd love to really get into the cards and kind of journal on them more, and I don't want to say meditate, but I definitely want to get stuck into it a little bit more, because it's not a very standard tarot deck in one sense, as in like the imagery is intense and unusual, and it's not, I wouldn't say it was beginner friendly, but oh my gosh, how I love this deck so incredibly much. I just want to show you the guidebook, because this is one of the things that kind of really made the deck as well. So not only just the imagery, but also the guidebook. So you have your keywords, your title, and then you have the whole kind of little blurb of the, would say, the image. So the folklore, is that the word, or the myth? I don't want to say myth because, you know, and then you have the message, and like how these two tie in was just, it was just incredible. It was such an experience that I would definitely highly recommend that if you're looking to expand outside of your comfort, then this might be one worth looking into. Like catching the huge fish is like a dream come true. It might mean hard work and persistence, but it's worth it. This card urges you to take on the challenges at hand. Your efforts will be rewarded. I'm not going to try and pronounce any of these because I'll just butcher it. The eagle symbolizes higher powers, higher consciousness, and clear perception. So as you can see, like there's a lot of symbolism within this deck, and it just gives a lot of perspective and kind of a wider view lens on things. The next one I have to mention is Wicked Moon Tarot. Now, I don't have this an overly long time, but I swear this became a favourite very, very quickly once I started working with it. To be honest, I loved this deck from the get-go. From when I opened it, when I did my walkthrough, I was like, I need to work with this yesterday. Oh my goodness me. The cartoon feel, the nostalgia, it like just spoke to my inner child. I loved the way the cards in of themselves tell a story. We're following this character. It feels very game-like in the aspect of, if you like cozy gaming, I feel like it falls very well under that category. I am definitely a cozy gamer myself when I get to game, if I'm being honest. But I just loved the feel that we were following a character. There felt some kind of like cohesiveness with it. It really spoke to my inner child self. And there was something about like the whole, it just reminded me sometimes of some of the cartoons. Again, I know I said this before, but while the imagery might not be of the cartoons that I watch, but it definitely reminded me of certain elements of the cartoons I would have watched as a young one. It just is so sweet. It's so incredibly cute, and I love the way the characters are all blended in together. We follow kind of like a season as well, so we start from spring into summer, autumn, winter, and then how each suit has kind of the same feel. There's no really deviating from it, and how the characters are depicted. So as you can see, like this is our autumn, but this character is in most of the cards, and okay, not this card, but you get that sense of that story-like feeling and following, I'm trying to think of a cozy game that might have like, I do like a game that has a good storyline. It might be an awful lot of play, so more like them click play through stories where you're making choices and options or picking from options. This is what this feels like. I love it. Next one, I so had to mention this, was the Lubanko tarot. Oh my goodness me. So anybody, I know I've done a walkthrough of this deck. This was amazing. I'm trying to think, when did I start working with this? It's kind of more towards the start of the year. Well, mid-year, I would say, probably. I don't know. I don't even know how we got to December so darn quick. As you can see, it has been well loved and well used already, because the edging is kind of already flaking a little bit. I loved this deck. I love the kind of darkness, the deepness, the depth. This is a very thought-provoking deck. It takes a different kind of approach. I really do appreciate the way the art has been, or the pictures have been depicted. I love the art style. we'll try and move on from that. There's slight nudity. Again, I don't really mind. But I just like, look at that. That's our front. I just really loved how kind of shadowy in one sense that this deck got, but it was not in a sense where confronting your shadow was challenging. It really brought a light. So it's more a darkness light deck, and I really appreciated that. And I really like the depictions of people in this. It was very interesting. It's very unusual. Again, as you can see, I'm one for the unusual decks. I love that very much. But I love the way it's provocative. And again, just not of the norm. And I'm here for that. I'm so here for that. And I loved the, again, like I said, it is very provocative in one sense. Not overly, but just that hint of it. And it gives it that rawness, the rawness of being human, right? There's that depth of, you know, sensuality and feeling and emotions, I suppose, as well. Like there's just a depth that I suppose in one way is a little bit hard to find words for, but the guidebook was something that was just amazing. Like, we have strength, so a tamer holds the tamed, bathed in decadent reds and oranges, face upturned with satisfaction of strength, mutually enjoyed and shared, right? And it's just the whole, not the whole human experience, but like how in one sense the human experience would be depicted is the way I would pick this up. And it's just like, strength is not about its display, but it's about its prudent use. When you realize your own strength, you realize the value of holding back and choosing your battles. Battles carefully chosen are battles are more strategically won. Strength without wisdom applied is just brutality. And so I love the way the guidebook is written and how it gives more depth and more meaning to sometimes what we ourselves might find difficult to face. The guidebook helps lay it out in front of you where you go, oh yes, now I see that and I understand that. And last but not least is the Hedgewitch Tarot. If I had to pick probably a favourite tarot this year, it probably would be the Hedgewitch. If I was to say, you know, if you were to go, Amanda, what was your favourite tarot deck completely this year? It's definitely the Hedgewitch. I just fell in love with this deck from the get-go. It's like a mature version of the Wicked Moon in one sense. It's very fantasy, very... Again, you can kind of see how or why I would love it, because it very much reminds me of a very bright and more modern Green Witch, and it's very vibrant, and I love that fantasy feel. So I suppose they're probably called romantasy books, isn't that it? So romance and fantasy books, I love that. I love getting lost in that world and the magic system and the characters and the character developments and getting really invested in it. And so I felt like this deck was definitely that. I love the way we've the different seasons again depicted. I love decks that depict all 4 seasons, for the reason being is sometimes it's hard to pick seasonal decks. So if you have one that like has all of them, it's a bit easier, because then you don't feel so guilty if you mightn't use this in spring. You're like, wow, I can use it in autumn if you don't want to use it in summer, or vice versa. And I had the best time working with this. I definitely found myself reaching for this quite a lot, or quite often, or if I was doing maybe some tarot challenges that I was so brutally bad at keeping up with, but we tried. And I think that's the main thing, is once we try, that's all the best we can do. That I just loved the way this was such a comfort. It was very comforting for sure. And I so enjoyed the colour palette. I still do. Jeez, it's not going anywhere. It's 100% guaranteed not leaving my collection for sure. I love the feel of the deck. I love the way it shuffles. I love the way the cards when laid out. Just because I'm just being that person, I have to show you. Why not? If it's one of my favourite decks, why not show you? I mean, look at the way they're depicted. I mean, it just blends so seamlessly, so effortlessly. You're not struggling. Again, the cohesiveness, it really does blend so incredibly nice together. The guidebook, of course, is just so comfy cozy. It kind of gives that. I've never played D&D, but I feel for some reason like this would be a character I would choose if I was to play it. And I love what I loved about this, with the guidebook, is every card has one card answer. So if you were looking for a yes or a no, you could look it up and see. Then you also have like just one keyword, success. And reversed, you have keywords too. So you have the border, the writing, and then the veil. And like, it might look very short and sweet, but it's just enough. Sometimes you don't need to dive deep. You don't need to go so soul searching either. Sometimes we just need to see what's in front of us. We don't need to dig very, very deep for it. All right, my love, so that is the end of today's video. Thank you so much for hanging out and watching what my favorites were for 2025. I can't believe we're at the end of the year. Oh my gosh. Or nearly at the end of the year anyway. So let me know, what was your favorite decks throughout the year? What ones did you love? What tarot decks did you just hated having to put away? Regardless whether it's a new release this year or not, it doesn't matter. What was the deck that was calling to your soul? And as always, I hope you have a wonderful day, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. And remember, stay magical, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye guys.